all of this. Yeah. Okay, metaphysics. Anybody want to take a guess on what this means? Justice has the right shape with his hands.
The Lord.
It's
I mean, look at the word. What do you think it means?
the study
Meta?
of things that we cannot possibly know.
Okay, metahumans. We were watching the show Flash now with my 4-year-old. Pretty good. In that show last night, they said the word metahuman. What does that mean?
It's not normal.
Okay, in that case, all y'all are metahumans. What does that mean?
It's a subclass.
Is it what, man? Okay, maybe. What can metahumans do that humans can't do? All kinds of really cool things, right? So would you say that they're humans plus, right?
Human square.
Okay, yeah. So it's like stuff they can do, everything that humans can do, plus other stuff that's like usually outside of the realm of human ability. Is that fair? Okay.
So metaphysics.
So
would be
metaphysics,
outside
apply.
of the realm of physics. So it's stuff that is not concrete, I guess.
It is concrete, but it is not physical.
Okay. Not physical.
Okay? Good. That's exactly right. Metaphysics is above. Meta means above or beyond. If you talk about a kind of a catchword right now right now, I mean like the last decade, in linguistics and in ethics is the term meta-narrative or meta-ethics. Okay? A meta-narrative is a narrative that basically like describes your life, if you want to, in this scenario, okay? A meta-narrative is like, this is how my life has generally been good, or it's generally been hard, or it's generally been weird, or whatever, okay? That's your meta-narrative, okay? It's above and beyond all the inner workings of your day-to-day life. It's just above and beyond it, okay? So metaphysics is above or beyond the physical. So give me an example of something that would be above or beyond the physical.
God.
Okay? Why? God, why? Whatever he, she, or it is like.
Because God is not a physical, tangible thing that we can perceive on this world.
Okay?
It's something within ourselves.
Okay? Good. Good. Most people would agree that whatever God is, they're referring to some kind of being that's bigger, for lack of a better word, right? Or even though, because God is not normally a physical being, it's kind of hard to, we couldn't measure him, right? Or she or it, whatever. So like, most people, when they think about God, they think about some kind of being that's has greater abilities, has greater power, has greater knowledge, right? Is a different kind of being than humans are, okay? So that means that usually God is not confined to a physical body like we are, which means that God is not physical. So that would be a metaphysical consideration. What else?
But a soul be metaphysical?
Good, souls, yeah. Whether or not souls exist, and if they do, what are they like? For sure. We're going to talk about that here. What else? Chakras. Okay?
What's
Yeah.
a chakra? It's your energy.
It's
Energy, right?
It's your
Chi.
it's
Yeah.
heart, it's your heart, mind, soul, and then like your stomach. I work
It's like
at
the alignment
it's your
of it,
elements
right?
of your body. I work at Ransom.
It's many things.
Many things, but yeah.
Levels.
It's like it's almost like a relational term.
Is it that thing they're talking about in Avatar, The Last Airbender?
No.
What else? There's something even you guys are thinking good, but you're thinking almost too hard. So what's something you use every day that's non-physical? Sometimes they're foggy.
Remember.
Your thoughts or your memories.
Imagination.
Yeah. Those are non-physical things. But would you say that they're very real? Yeah.
Real to me.
Right? Well, they're real to me too,
They're real
because
to
I
me.
assume that you have them.
Yeah,
So,
I have thoughts. Everyone has real thoughts.
yeah, and usually our behaviors and even our communications are the result of our thoughts. We usually tell people, would you please think before you speak, right? Because when you don't, there's no telling what's going to come out. Our communication is supposed to be a result of our thinking. Great.
So you just said like recap. The line's kind of low.
Okay.
Our thoughts are metaphysical because they're not.
Physical.
So what you think is very.
So your thought life, think about it this way, your thought life, okay, all this that goes on up here, right? That, like, about that much comes out, right? But there's also, you know this, right? You all have these mental lives, okay? I do too.
This all thought life.
Yeah, this, everything that goes on up here, yeah,
A new term.
all this area, okay?
Thought
Your
life.
thought, you've never heard the phrase thought life?
No.
I've heard it,
Really?
but it's pertaining to.
How
To a
is your
different
thought life?
thought.
Oh my gosh, okay. Mental life is another one, okay? Your
Okay, yeah, there
mental
you go.
I
life.
like thought life.
Thought life, mental life, same thing. That is a metaphysical reality. It is real, but it is not physical. Now, some people argue and say, well, now wait a second, there's all sorts of like chemicals and hormones and stuff up there. True, but those aren't the same things as thoughts. Those affect thoughts, but they're not the same thing as thought. Remember the law of identity? A thing is what it is. A chemical is a chemical, it is not a thought. Okay? Van.
Then what is like like say metaphysics, you look at it, you can say it inside your head, and you don't actually have to say it, but you can hear a voice. What is that? Is that metaphysics?
Conscience.
What is that?
That's
You
straight
can
up.
actually hear a voice in your head. You don't have to actually make any sound.
Yeah, don't
Right.
say it out loud. Don't put you in that house.
Yeah, okay, everyone, Van's hearing voices. I'm just kidding. But I know what you mean though, right? It's almost like it's yourself talking to yourself, but it's not,
It's
but
like you're
kind
having
of.
an internal
that's
dialogue.
cool.
Right.
in your head.
Talking your back to get you in trouble.
It's like that.
McGuire character.
What's the
Is it when
the me and me to me
I never thought about it.
memes? You know what I'm talking about? Like Kermit the Frog in the Hood, right? Those crack me up every time. Me to me.
Me
You
is
go
me
from
and
nurse
me.
Like, where does that voice come back?
Yeah, where does that voice come from? So a lot of people, I mean, that's look, you know by now that difficult questions are easy to ask in the sense that they take up about that much time to ask, right? But that much time to answer, okay? The quick and easy answer is some people would refer to that as your consciousness. It's you, right? But it's you being aware, it's you thinking about your thinking. It's you being aware of your thoughts. It's you up there.
Slapping yourself on the back of the head.
Wouldn't
that just move on to the mind-body problem?
Yes, it would.
Like because
Which
the
enters
machine-
the issue of souls and its soul's relationship to the mind. And yeah, it's going to be good stuff.
It's,
Is it also kind of one of those things where, like, you're saying you have, like, all this information, but so much love? Is that kind of one of those things where you think back, I could have said this, but I didn't?
Probably, but that's probably you more thinking about the results of what just happened and then thinking about what if I would have said this and maybe that would have happened, you know. I'm more thinking about the fact that, like, because it's all about me, let's take me for an example, okay? So, as I'm teaching, right, I've got what I'm going to say comes out of my mouth mostly, that's what's in here, okay? But then there's also this whole other dialogue of, I feel cold, how much time do I have left, right? Then there's a whole other assessment between me and you. They look sleepy, are they getting it, do I need to repeat that, do I need to keep going, should I stop now or should I go long today, like, right? Okay, there's that whole conversation. Then there's all sorts of things like individually things like I just looked at her jacket and just I want to touch it, like it looks real fuzzy, right? Okay. Then there's the whole thing like I'm glad Brittany's here, she wasn't here on Monday. Okay, there's the whole like you got people I see, are they on their phone, are they not on their phone? Or I mean I look at you individually and I think like how are they doing today? Like I wonder how it's been since the last time I saw. I mean, really, right? Really, I do that. So all that's going on while this is coming out my mouth. Okay? That's why I say about this much comes out, and that happens with you guys as well. You're doing the same thing to me, I know it, right? You're looking at me wondering what the heck I'm thinking or what I ate for breakfast or, you know.
You made me feel
That
like
kind
I
of
mean, our brain has so many different parts of
It
it,
does.
and they're always thinking about something
Yep,
separate.
something.
So you're multitasking in your head as you're speaking.
As are you.
The ultimate
I know you're thinking, for the most part you listen, right? But I also know you're thinking about 9 billion things out there.
Because you're thinking
Right.
what's going on here.
What you have to do next, what you have to do today, the other homework you got to do, and I mean that's just school, right? Then you've got life and kids and parents and right, significant others and all sorts of right. I know that, okay. So all that is your thought life, Justice. All that is your thought life.
Mine's not that big.
It's different from your physical life. Thank goodness, right? Thank goodness we don't do all the things we think about.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Okay. So let's keep going. We talked about this a little bit, but I'm just going to give you I wanted you to think through it first, and now when I give it to you, maybe it'll sink in a little better. So the term was first used to describe a work of Aristotle, so it's way back, right? So it's way back. It is a little, as we see, it's kind of easy to define in one sense, but it encompasses so much that it can be difficult to define. Okay. But like we talked about, the word metaphysics comes from the two words meta, and that's a prefix, and then the word physics or physical. Okay, so this is above or beyond the physical. In other words, it does not deal with physical things. It deals with non-physical things. All right. So this is the branch of philosophy that talks about the nature of existing, being. Okay. Yes, sir.
Would you say that Plato's forms is like a sense of metaphysics?
Yes. Yes, very much so. Okay? Philosophical study of the nature of being or reality, and ultimate categories or kinds of things that are real. Okay? Kinds of things that are real. Now listen, when I say things that are real, don't start thinking rocks and trees and animals. Okay? They are real. They are real things, but those are all physical things. What this has to deal with is the category of things that are real, and then, so it says there is a category of real things and not real things, right? What is it, listen carefully, what is it about the things that are real that makes them real and not real? What, the things that make them, no, that's just us accessing them and experiencing them. But they have to, their existence is prior to our experience of their existence. Okay, so what is it even about us that makes us in the category of we exist versus not exist? What quality is that? Metaphysics seeks to try and figure that out. What is the nature of existing? What does it mean to exist? We know that it doesn't mean just to be like breathing or alive, because rocks aren't alive. Right? But they exist. So what is it about existing things that makes them exist and not exist?
Existence.
So what is that?
Existence itself.
Exactly.
Don't really guess there's an answer.
Yeah, that is going to be a metaphysical thing because it can't be a physical thing. It can't be a physical consideration because a physical consideration is inside the category of existing things. Okay? Physical things exist. So in order to study what it is that makes them exist, we have to go outside that category and look in. Right? The answer can't be one that's inside the category. Does that make sense? It'd be like asking the question, what are numbers? And then say 7. Right? And like, no, that is a number, but what are numbers? Okay? We have to go outside the category to figure out what that is.
So how do we have metaphysics if we can't really define physics?
Oh, we can define physics.
Well, you just said that.
You take a class.
So for it to be metaphysics, it has to exist but not actually exist. But we don't know what existence is, and how does not all of that fall into physics?
Okay, well, because physics study physical things. That's why it's called physics.
So as long as it exists, but it's not physical.
So metaphysics studies things that exist but that are not physical. Or things that are physical, but it studies why they exist versus don't exist.
Okay.
So physics would be the what and metaphysics would be the how.
Yes, but keep in mind that there are other things that exist that are not physical, right? So it's about existence rather than physical versus non-physical. The point about metaphysics is that even if we're going to talk about physical or non-physical, if we're going to talk about existence, we got to talk about something that's non-physical because it can't be a part of that set. Okay, we're going to talk about set theory in here too. So for any of you that are into that kind of stuff. The subtitle of those slides is stuff you don't really need to know. So that'd be fun when we get there. Okay. Not to be confused with these things. Okay, these are real things, but they're different than what we're about to talk about. They're not to be confused with anything with the New Age movement, not to be confused with psychic phenomenons, crystals, anything like that. Okay, those are real things, but that's not this study. It's a different thing, different study. Okay? Okay, here are some questions. We've kind of already started to ask them, but we're just to get you in the mode, like what does metaphysics deal with? We've talked about it a little bit, but here are some other things. What is reality? Why is there something and not nothing? Have you ever asked that question? Why does anything exist instead of nothing existing? Why? Okay? What is it to exist? We talked about that already. What does it mean to exist?
This is 100%
What is a being? What is a being? Are humans beings? Yeah, to call them human beings.
So what are non-human beings?
Okay? What are non-human beings? Is a dog a being?
It's a being, it's a
Okay?
non-human being.
Is God a being?
Yes, if he
Like a
exists.
celestial being, maybe? No,
Maybe.
it's more of like an entity.
Define
Okay.
celestial.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, no, that was like a legit question. Define celestial.
Celestial.
You're like, I don't know what celestial
More
means.
lines like heavenly or.
Like outside of this realm type thing.
No, unrealmly.
Is that a word?
No, well, it is now.
It is now.
I put it out there.
now.
It's my dialect.
Is a rock a being?
No.
He's being a rock.
Okay.
That's back in the what does it mean to exist? But, okay. Is a tree a being?
Yes.
Maybe.
That's a
Oh,
lot.
yeah.
Okay, now we're right. Okay. Maybe.
It grows.
Does being alive make you a being though? Should it have like thoughts or consciousness?
That's what this is asking.
If a tree were to have a consciousness, how would we know?
How do we ask a tree?
Yeah, they could
That's a
just
lot
be
more-
all-knowing entities and us have no clue.
Okay. So this is a good question, right?
About the trees in my front yard, what's Lord of the Rings?
What is a person?
Not me.
A living thing? So a plant is a person.
A person is
Okay.
a human being.
Is it
Right.
individual?
Is it?
So I think it is.
Is God a person?
No, but God is also not a human being.
You have
Okay.
to be a human being to be a person.
That's what
Do
I'm
you?
thinking. Do you? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
Or is your soul the person?
Am
Am I free?
No, you're not free.
Yes.
Really? Now let's say, all joking aside, really, let's think about it.
No.
Am I a free agent?
No.
I could totally just uproot my life right now and go live in the Amazon rainforest
No,
off the
because
grid.
as long as you are alive, you're shackled to life. Or you're shackled by it. It's only in death till you're true.
Shackles up here.
That's really
That's
dark,
so
Terry.
depressing.
Listen, it's kind of real.
You have to live whether you like it or not, is basically what you're
It's
saying.
just when you die, you're truly free. You're free from every bond.
Except that now I can't live.
Yeah.
Your
So-
He said, what more
Lord,
are you
live,
doing?
live, die.
It sounds like
Okay, this normally talks about, like, when we talk about this, we're normally talking about decisions that we make. Like, in other words, this is a debate between free will and determinism, right? Is my existence, my decisions, my life, basically has it been determined for me, or can I really make free will decisions?
I think within reason.
What do you mean within reason?
I mean, you're not.
Because I make a lot of unreasonable decisions. I don't know about you guys.
Well, I mean, you can change or alter your path within reason, but you're not just like you said. You can't just decide to believe something. So once you have a belief, you're pretty much.
But you can decide to change the belief.
Can you?
Yeah, you just go find different evidence for it.
Oh, yeah, you can find different evidence and then therefore change the belief. But we just talked last chapter. You just can't change the belief. You just can't make yourself want to.
No, we said no. We can't. We said we can't directly change our beliefs, but we can indirectly change them. Yeah, by
We were-
examining the evidence and
We're
going like.
completely free. Couldn't you directly change whatever you wanted to?
No, because it's not that kind of thing. It's like if we were completely free, could we not pick up 5 cars and? No, because it's not. They were not designed that way, right? It's free to do whatever is possible to do, not whatever is
What are we going to
impossible.
define as possible?
Okay, that's a good metaphysical question. Is there, and like we already talked about, is there a supreme being? Whatever he, she, or it is like.
That's too close to lunch.
Okay. Okay, so these are the types of questions. So are you like in the ballpark now? Do you know what we're talking about as far as like, you might not know, you don't know the answers, which is cool, but you know what we're talking
I
about.
like to check.
This kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, you hear? Okay.
Metaphysics class.
Okay, in metaphysics, there are two big branches, okay? Two main branches. The first one is called general ontology, and the second one is called special metaphysics, okay? I'm about to tell you. General ontology and special metaphysics. Those are the two big sections, okay? General ontology means the study of being, okay? Like biology is the study of life, ontology is the study of being, okay? So general ontology studies on the nature of existence or being, like we've talked about already. That's what this category is called, this area of study. It wants to know the things that are true of all things. So basically it says, give me the category of things that exist. Let's find what is true of all of those things. Let's find something that is true of all of those things. Okay? For example, the law of identity would be an example of one of those things. A thing is what it is and not something else. That's true of all things that exist. Okay? And it also deals with categorical analysis. And by that, it's just a fancy word for you guys do this all the time. We do it all the time just as we live, okay? It deals with putting things into categories. We do this all the time with people, right? We put them into categories. We have categories of people that are like humans all the way into people that are really, really, really close to us and know everything about us, right? We've got categories all along the way. Same thing. It puts things into categories and then analyzes why they go into that category. So, for example, my dog Blondie, okay, that's one specific dog that actually no longer exists. He's buried in my yard. Oh, I know, sad. So it's my fault too. I went out on a run and she followed me and got hit by a car. She was really old and really sweet. Okay, moving on before we get all emotional about it. Okay, so this is a specific dog, but she belongs to the category of dogs. I mean, if we really wanted to get she's a lab, okay, we could go down that route too, right? But let's put her in the category of dogs. Well, dogs are in the category of mammals, right? Okay, mammals in the larger category of animals. Animals are in living things. Living things are in substances. Okay, it is a substance. Right, so you see the categories kind of go from here, we're going from small to big, right? So it looks at those categories and determines what is it that puts things in these categories, why are they separated the way that they are, what's a characteristic of animals that's not a characteristic of substances or dogs, okay? Right, it seeks to know the difference between those categories. Does that make sense? So, general ontology, that's one part of metaphysics. The other part is special metaphysics, and this is where it goes into discussing really special topics, okay, specific topics. So, for example, minds, bodies, souls, right? It wants to talk about those. It talks about those because now bodies are physical things, but the relationship between minds and bodies, and the relationship between mind, bodies, and souls, if souls exist, is a metaphysical relationship, okay? Minds and souls are metaphysical things. So it seeks to, but they seem to be attached to bodies, so it seeks to explore that whole issue, okay? Free will and determinism, we talked about already. Causation, time is a metaphysical concept. Time, okay? Eternity, closely related to time. Time is closely related to causation, because as we found out way back when with like Zeno and all them, right? During his tide, remember? Some people said there is no time without change. And change happens with causation. Something causes change, okay? So causation, time, and eternity are all kind of related to each other, okay? Those of you that, I read some of your journals and you're like, I don't know what to write anymore, that we're entering into a new area where you can probably start to write some things, okay? Start to ask these questions. And when you write a question, but now since we're like more than halfway through the semester, start to try to answer that question. Based on what you know, based on how you know you can reason through things, start to answer the question. Okay, so ask a question, continue to start with I wonder if you want to, but then offer up some possible solutions. That'd be a good route to go with your journal. Okay, ultimately though, metaphysics is concerned with what is there. Okay, what you can say it, what is there or what is there? Existing things, and what is it like? This is what we're talking about. What is there and what is it like? Give me all the existing things. Let me see what they are, and then let me figure out what they're like. Okay? Of course, this all depends on what the meaning of the word is. I know most of y'all were like babies when were you even alive when Bill Clinton was president?
1997.
I think I was an infant.
This is a classic quote from him, right? When he's in the middle of that scandal with Monica Lewinsky, one of his aides, okay, when he's accused of sexual misconduct, okay? And in his deposition, this is the famous phrase, the question was something along the lines of, is it true that you had sex with this woman? Or something like that. And he was like, this is his response. It depends what the meaning of is. Lame answer in that situation, right? Lame route to take. Really good question when it comes to metaphysics, though. Really good question. Yeah, he tried to get all philosophical. Yeah. Really good question, though, when we talk about metaphysics. Okay? When we say the question, when we ask the question, what is there? What is there? What does is mean?
What is there?
What is there?
What is?
Yeah.
What is?
Yeah, so look, consider the is in these following 4 sentences. Consider the is in these following sentences, okay? First, Socrates is human.
Socrates is human.
What is human?
Okay? You think about the is.
Human.
Think about the is. Socrates is human. Okay? Here's another one. Socrates is white. It's true, he's Greek, so he's white. Socrates is white. Socrates is the teacher of Plato, which is true. Socrates is skin and bone.
You'd probably a lot less skin then.
Nah, that's true. Probably mostly
Bone.
nothing.
Mostly, yeah.
Mostly dirt. Okay, think about each of these. Look at each of these is's. Now, even if you don't know exactly what is going on there, do they feel the same to you or do they feel different to you?
It just feels like a correlation.
Okay, good. Correlation. Is there any other feelings about the word is? That last one, is that a correlation?
And that one should be was.
They should all be
Really,
was.
they should all be was, but work with me. Does any of them feel different to you? They all feel exactly the
It's
same.
not the is, they all feel the
As long as they're all true, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Let's take this first one. Socrates is human. This is called essential predication. In other words, it has to be this way. Take the word essential, right? Has to be. Like you can't have Socrates without having a human.
That's what it
At least not the Socrates we're talking about. Okay? So this is called essential predication. Now when I give you another one, maybe it'll start to become clear. If I say Socrates is white, the is means accidental predication. Okay? In other words, you could say, and this makes it a little bit too flippant, but you could say, now he just happened to be white. You could still have one of the world's greatest philosophers, history's greatest philosophers ever, and he wasn't white, he wasn't Greek. Could have happened. Like the seat of education and philosophy was Athens at that time, right? So that's kind of where that came from. But what if it wasn't? What if it was in Africa and Carthage? Right? But you see how that's different. It still seems pretty essential that he was white because we have Socrates in mind, right? The Socrates that really did exist. But it doesn't seem quite as essential as him being human. You feel the difference there? Okay? So that's the difference between essential predication and accidental predication. Could have been different. He could not have been white, but he had to have been human. Okay? How about this one? Socrates is the teacher of Plato. The is in this sentence is an is of identity. In other words, there probably were other people named Socrates at the time. Common name? This Socrates was the teacher of Plato. Oh, that Socrates. Yeah, I know him. Right? Okay? In my, where I live now, there are two giant, well, there's several, but you know how like in areas there's like big family names, right? And when you say, oh, so-and-so was a fill in the blank, and you're like, okay, and then you associate them with this whole family. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, right? So in my family, like I'm a Brown, right, married into the Brown family. Well, back a couple, my mother-in-law was a Smith. And those two families are huge families, okay? And then when the Smiths married the Browns, now like everybody's related to everybody, right, through marriage, okay? So Smiths, Browns, Hiltons, Toons, McBrooms, okay? Big families, and they're kind of like, you know, at some point they intertwine and like, okay. Same thing here. When you say that somebody is a Brown, right? Okay, yeah, now I know what you're talking about, right? That's you're identifying them with something. You're giving them something to narrow down the possibilities so that you can identify who that person is. If you just said Socrates is human, that doesn't give you a whole lot to go on, okay? Even if you said, oh, it's that white guy. Like, again, can you narrow it down for me a little bit? The teacher of Plato. Oh, okay, yeah. Right? That information is being given to you for the purpose of identifying Socrates. Do you see how that's different from saying Socrates is human? Okay? Is it starting to feel different to you? That feels a little different to you, hopefully. Okay, last one. Socrates is skin and bone. In this case, the is means constitution or a part whole analysis. In other words, it's telling you what Socrates is made out of. Okay? It's not identifying which Socrates. It's not telling you essentially what he is. He's telling you what he's made of. Okay? That feels a little bit different. What that difference is metaphysics. Is a metaphysical question. Because there's nothing physical there that we can see or touch or measure, right? But in talking about it and in examining it, we see that there is a difference. Okay? So that's metaphysics, right? Something that creates different meaning or identifies things, but it's not a physical thing. It's like a concept or a phenomenon or something, right? Okay. We're gonna stop here because what we're about to do is talk about, when we talk about this kind of stuff, humans and skin and bone and that kind of stuff, right? We're also talking about like what are you? Okay? What are you? And the weird part about that is that even though it's like real important to us, I mean, I assume that you are important to you. Okay?
No, not really.
We don't really know what we are. I mean, we know that we're human, and the biology part of it, the physical part of it, we got that down. Okay? Got that down pretty well. You don't know, go ask my husband, he teaches it. Okay? Anatomy, that kind of thing, that's pretty well understood. But there does seem to be a part of us that's not just physical. We know this because when somebody dies, we miss them, even though their body's right there in front of us. Right? Yeah. We say things like they're gone, but their body's right there. Okay? There's a part of us that's like above or beyond our physical body. Okay? And so what we want to discover is, what is that? What is that? What is it like? Even like in college, two of my best friends were identical twins. By identical, I mean identical. Okay? Now, the more I got to know them, the more I realized they were really different, right? So I didn't ever, after a while, I didn't ever confuse them. Even when I saw them apart, I knew which one was which. But we're talking like twins have identical DNA, right? Biologically. But these are totally different people. They were totally different people. So what is a person? What's a person? It's not just a body, although we see it represented by body,
The
right?
body's identity.
Okay. So what is that? What is that? And then what's the association between souls and bodies, or minds and bodies, or personhood and body? Okay. This leads into a lot of ethical things. Like, for example, the question of abortion. right? Is that a person? And if so, when? Right? Legit, that's the question. Now there are various opinions and that's why we disagree, right? But that is the question that's at the heart of the abortion debate. Is that a person? And if so, when? Is it when it looks like a person? And if so, when is that exactly?
Is a sperm living?
Right? Okay? So, I mean, you've got a sperm and an egg, we know that makes a person, but we know that those aren't persons.
The sperm's like half a person.
So like, okay, so this is the question, okay? This is the question of personhood, souls, and natures. Those are all different things, and they all very much play a part in who you are as a person.
Did you accidentally something?
Did you accidentally something? Okay, so next time you're gonna learn a whole lot about who you are. So get comfortable with yourself. All right, peace out. Go forth and conquer.
I guess I would say a person would be someone who can actually make their own personality and identity.